Welcome back to this tabletop gameplay of the Paradox Rift format. In this one, we're looking at Gholdengo and Roaring Moon. In the upcoming ones, we're going to look at some modified decks. So we're going to look at Chien-Pao in the Paradox format. We've got Charizard and Gardevoir coming up. We've got Lugia. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see those. But let's take a look at the deck lists and a few changes we've made along the way. So first up, we've got the Roaring Moon deck list here. It's fairly standard. One thing in this video, we didn't have the Baby Galarian Moltres or the Energy Switch, but I want to give you the best list we think is possible. And from some testing, I think it is this. The Energy Switch just gives you that extra reach to take those knockouts very early on and make you race a little quicker, which is always good for a deck that aims to do so. Other than that, this is a fairly standard list, as you will see in this video. We've got the town store to search out our tools. So we've got obviously the ancient one or Forest Seal Stone. Not someone I've seen played in any list yet, but I think Collapse Stadium in this list in particular is fantastic. If they don't take a knockout on our Roaring Moon, we can take it to the bench and then Collapse Stadium it away and reuse those energies. This is a Gholdengo list. Again, nothing you wouldn't expect in there. We've got a very small Pokemon line. So you will see, or maybe I might have cut it out, but there are a few times where there's just no basics drawn. I mean, there's 8 in the deck, so it's not terrible, but yeah, not many Pokemon compared to other lists. We've got the 3 worker in there, just obviously Path can shut us down, where Gholdengo really wants to be able to draw cards. We've got Radiant Greninja to draw cards. So yeah, we really don't want to be shut down by that. It's not the end of the world, but we do get more cards with worker as well. Now the card just below Gimmighoul, there should be something else. I don't know why it's put that in the graphic, but I couldn't actually find the actual card. So that is the TM Evolution. So talking of changes, you could maybe work in a Forest Seal Stone and a Lumineon into this list. We do have the 4 Ultra Ball. It does give us an extra basic Pokemon. Not one we really want to start with, but if it means our opponent's drawing less prizes, maybe it will be worth it. It just gives us the option to use that TM early on. In this deck list, we are pretty much relying on drawing into it. But like I say, we do have stuff like Gholdengo, we've got Greninja, we've got Bibarel, we've got Worker. So a ton of way to draw cards. We've also got Pokestop, but obviously that wouldn't grab it. It does let us thin out some of those item cards though. This deck list wants to go quite quick as well. We've got the 12 energy in there. You may notice 2 Psychic. That's for the Fog Crystal, just for that extra reach, but also we can search out those Gimmighouls. Those are the deck lists. Let's get into the match. Now, this is going to be a tough match for Roaring Moon for a few reasons. It can't quite reach the knockout with Calamity Storm, and it also, well, it can obviously take the one-hit KO with the other attack, but it does mean it's putting a ton of damage on itself, and then Gholdengo's only going to need an energy or 2 to finish him off. So this is going to be an uphill struggle for sure. You probably want to go second with Roaring Moon just so you can race that first knockout. But it does look like we are getting set up here. It's just going to be if Roaring Moon can take a few knockouts maybe before Gholdengo sets up, how quickly it sets up. I do run Jirachi in this list, as you can see there, which on the graphic was taken away. Basically, that's there to stop things like Lost Zone, just Sableye in your bench if you retreat a Roaring Moon, for example, and them taking maybe a couple of knockouts in a turn, taking potentially 4 prizes, which doesn't sound good. So it is going to be the VIP pass, so it's going to be a good start for Gholdengo's side. I'm guessing just searching out some of those Gimmighouls. Now, you could run like a 2-2 or a 3-1 of these. This one has the Call for Family, well, attack basically. There is one with a lot more HP, so if you are worried about stuff like Lost Zone, like in this list, you probably want a Jirachi if you're going to use those smaller Pokemon. So it is going to be a Gimmighoul and Bidoof hitting the bench. So it's, yeah, that's an ideal setup there. Got the Greninja in the active where they can throw away some energy. We are going to see Greninja take the top 2 cards here. A lot of energy in hand, and I think I saw a Gholdengo as well. So next turn could be quite good. Obviously retreating that Greninja, and it's over to the side of Roaring Moon here. So Town Store comes down. We've also got the Moltres V, so we could potentially see a Forest Seal Stone here. It is going to be an Earthen Vessel to start off though. Discarding that Dark Energy, grabbing 2 more into hand, which is what you want to do with this deck. And it is going to be a second Earthen Vessel as well. So you really do want a ton of energy in the discard. You've got Dark Patch, you've got Moltres V, you've got Seda, which is the main draw engine of this deck and supporter. Obviously attaching to 2 ancient Pokemon and drawing 3 cards, which is pretty good going. We are going to see an Ultra Ball to discard a few more energy, so I think we've at least got 3, maybe 4 energy in there now, and it is going to be Squawk to the bench. Going to use Town Store to maybe search out that Forest Seal Stone we mentioned as well. Now you could save it, or you could use it now to get out. I think maybe saving it's better. Obviously we could have drawn into a Nest Ball or Aurora Moon. So it is going to search out a Nest Ball to get Aurora Moon into play. Doesn't mean if we hit a Seda we can then attach to something this turn and maybe get an attack off, which is always good. I do think there's not many downsides to using Squawk first. I guess the attachment as well. There's a few things we're worried about missing, so we are going to get that down now. And it is going to be a Squawk for 6. I want to see what's in hand. I think there might have been a Seda in hand. Maybe a switch as well. I don't know. I feel like we'd be moving a little quicker here if we did have something. So it might just be a pass back to the opponent. So you can see we did draw that Nest Ball, which is what I mean there. So we potentially could have used the Forest Seal Stone here to grab a Seda or maybe a Dark Patch or whatever we need. Morpeko does go down, giving us the free retreat, which is always good. And Bidoof is going to finish off the bench. So no more room for another Roaring Moon, which isn't great. Obviously, you do want 2 in play, sometimes even 3. Obviously, having to use that Squawk, wanting a free retreater, and like I say, that Jirachi, unfortunately in this matchup is no good, so it is just eating the bench space at the moment, and it is just a pass back to Gholdengo. This is what I mean. I think the Forest Seal Stone used a little prematurely there, and it is going to maybe cost them here. Gholdengo player is going to use the Radiant Greninja to draw some more cards. Obviously not needing much energy to knock out this Jirachi. They could potentially go for a play onto the bench, but it is going to be a switch into Gimme Ghoul here. And I'm assuming a Gholdengo in hand. Energy coming down to the other Gimme Ghoul on the bench. There is a boss in hand, I think a research as well. Probably going to see a research here. So we're going to see a Bibarel for 1. Is that any good? VIP pass. At least it's going to be thinned out of the deck if we do see a research here, which we do, which makes the most sense. Obviously searching for 4 Ultra Balls I think we've got left in deck. The 4 Gimme Ghouls themselves. So yeah, I think that's a fairly safe research, and we do see an Ultra Ball and a Gholdengo there. So the Gholdengo is going to come down, and potentially we could get 2 set up here, and they are off to the races. It's a funny looking card. It's a really cool looking Pokemon. It's one when I initially played through the game I wasn't a massive fan of. But I do think just seeing stuff on the cards, because I'm much more into the cards than I am the VG side of things. Just seeing them in the cards really brings them to life for me. So yeah, I've really been enjoying playing against and playing Gholdengo. So I like this Pokemon a lot more. So hopefully we do see it make an impact. Obviously using the Superior there to grab some energy. Thrown a bit away already via Greninja and other things. So we are going to get enough into hand just to knock out this Jirachi and go up on the prize trade. It does mean we could potentially get set up with Roaring Moon, or maybe even get another Roaring Moon down and get a couple set up. So it is going to be the Gholdengo. But we're going to see it make it rain there. It is just going to be a draw from Gold Rush and a second one from the bench. So the active draws 2. The bench one only gets the 1. And I think it's just going to be a knockout here. Probably using that Psychic Energy as it's not really needed for any attacks. The Metal slightly more useful in this matchup. Obviously being able to attach to Gholdengo. And they are going to go up for the first prize. The Morpeko is just a great pivot in Roaring Moon. Obviously it can sit in the active. You never really want to attack with it, so that's why I've added the Galarian Moltres after this game, the baby one, just so we've got a single prize attacker. You can also add Brute Bonnet, which I am thinking about testing out as well. Obviously it can poison from the bench, but it does use your tools you really want on your Roaring Moon to make them slightly more powerful. So it is going to be a Pokestop here. And we get a Dark Patch, which could be enough for setup here. Dark Patch and attach for turn isn't too much to ask for. We just check in, we've got some energy. We're going to see one go on to Moltres via its ability. Just so we've got an attacker maybe at some point once the Roaring Moon goes down. And it does look like we're going to see the Dark Patch come down. Just thinking where it goes there. Maybe not got the attach for turn, or... yeah, it's not looking good. We are going to see a boss, and I think it is just going to be a stall. Yeah, just searching through the discard there, double checking the energy. And it is just a pass. So it's not been the best of starts for the Roaring Moon play here. But like I said, holding that for a Seal Stone, I think would have made the world of difference. Obviously, saying that, having hindsight and seeing that we did draw into a nest ball to potentially get that Roaring Moon does make a massive difference, because if we don't hit that nest ball, then we are, and it's an even worse spot. So it's a really tough decision there. We are going to see Greninja to draw some cards. I'm going to see another Gimmighoul hit the bench. And at this point, they are firing on all cylinders. We're going to see cards from the Gholdengos, just drawing cards and cards. It's like playing against Gardevoir. Nothing really useful there. They are going to need a way to switch this Bibarel. And it is just a pass back, so the turn has been bought. And we are going to see a Pokestop to get things started. So Town Store, Dark, and a Dark Patch once again. Only getting a Dark Patch there. But it does mean we can set up this turn. Obviously with Morpeko in the active, that is a free retreat as well. And we can also, it looked like another boss in hand there. Mean we could bring up a Gholdengo and take 2 prizes here. So it is going to be a boss. Obviously putting a ton of damage on the Roaring Moon for an easy KO from Gholdengo in return. But it does mean we go up on prizes. And it is going to be a knockout on the Gholdengo and 200 damage placed onto the Roaring Moon EX. They don't really need much here. There's no tool attached, so it is just going to literally be 30 damage they need, so 1 energy. We do see the TM there. Probably a little late in the game now to be using that, so it is going to get Ultra Balled away. And we are going to see another Gholdengo come into play here. Pokestop gone as well. Obviously, that's probably helping both players. Probably Roaring Moon slightly more at the moment, needing to set up. Finding those Dark Patches turn after turn. You don't want any more of those, really. So it is going to be a Gholdengo going down. And we are going to see some more drawing here. That deck is looking awfully thin already. I've got a ton of resources. Obviously, the Super Rod and other things to bring back stuff when we need them. So it's not the end of the world here. Just a ton of cards in hand. And we're going to see... okay, so we're going to see the extra draw there. And that is an Earthen Vessel. So even more energy should they need it. Not really sure how many of these to play, so I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. It's one of those cards where, sure, it helps you get the energy out of deck, but most of the time you've discarded it and you wanted to get it from the discard, so it helps at early turns, but once you've passed those, it just becomes almost a dead card as all your energy is actually sat in the discard. And it is going to be a knockout there from Gholdengo. Going up now on prizes. Roaring Moon player also forgot to take their prizes, so hopefully that gets rectified here. And that's not something we've missed and affects the game in some way. So it is going to be another Pokestop. And the Sada is gone. That is painful. We do get a Nest Ball to potentially set up another Roaring Moon here, which is going to be played straight away. There we go. So we do remember the prizes, which did have an energy, which might potentially help. We could potentially attack with Moltres this turn, but they're going to get an easy 2 prizes from it, so it doesn't feel great. Maybe getting another energy on it just so you can retreat it easy and use it as a pivot if Morpeko goes down. But we are going to see Collapse Stadium get rid of that Squawk, just probably for the same reason. It's a very easy knockout for the Gholdengo player. And I just think, in general, it's not a great matchup for Roaring Moon here. Unless they get off to the races and take some huge knockouts before Gholdengo can really get going. And maybe Gholdengo struggles on setup slightly. But it is very much in Gholdengo's favour. And it's very much It's very much down to a little luck and maybe a little more skill. Maybe using the Forest Seal Stone at the right time might help. Doesn't look like we're going to see an attack this turn. But is going to be an attach to the Roaring Moon. Just counting up the energy. We are going to see an extra one go to the Moltres. So there is the chance it attacks and takes a knockout into like a single prizer. Yeah, I can't see that being used much this round. Okay, so it's over to the Gholdengo player here. They have just hit a worker. So we could see that collapsed stadium go. They can fill up their bench with some more Gimme Ghouls or potentially another Bidoof. It does also mean they get 3 extra cards, which is always good for a deck like this. So Gholdengo is going to play a worker, so that is going to get rid of Collapsed Stadium and open up the bench a little more. Maybe some more Gimme Ghouls or Bidoofs. So we are going to see a cross switcher here. Can they quite get the knockout onto this Roaring Moon? If they can, it's probably wrap the game up there. They would just need the 1 prize. And that Morpeko is sat in the active most of this game. But they are going to need 5 energy, so it is going to definitely add up here. So we do see Superior and I think a Fog Crystal in hand. Or is that double Superior in hand? Yeah, I think there's quite a few energy in hand as it is. I think this might be game here. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we saw maybe 2 in hand. At least 1, so that is going to be the knockout onto Roaring Moon. 4, 5, there it is. That's all it's going to take. Gholdengo with a big knockout. Not wanting to draw any more cards here. Obviously, very few cards left in deck, but that doesn't really matter if you're going to finish the game here. Only 1 prize taken there. There should have been 2. Again, that hopefully is resolved. Yeah, there we go. It is, yeah. Is going to go down to 1 prize here. Obviously, Roaring Moon quite easily is going to take a return knockout, but obviously they're going to have 200 damage on them with no tool by the looks of things. I think, yeah, just Nest Ball and Galarian Heavy Ball here just to search some stuff out. Maybe to try and find the Greninja here, just to start discarding some energy, draw some cards. So Greninja hits the bench here, hopefully able to draw some more cards. And mean we can see a big attack this turn. We did see a Bibarel there, which is huge. Gonna draw some cards and an Ultra Ball. That is an incredible draw off Greninja there. I think it's just the 1 energy we need on Roaring Moon. Gonna see the Ultra Ball come down first. Thin that deck out. Maybe get another Roaring Moon onto the bench if there's any Pokemon left, or just thin something. Thin the Bidoof out of the deck makes a lot of sense. And we are just digging now. We are digging for a knockout. Else it will just be a blowout by Gholdengo. Like I say, they can easily take a knockout on most Pokemon here. There is the Dark Patch though, and we're going to see it come down onto Roaring Moon. Retreat from the Morpeko. And Roaring Moon is going to... Okay, so we are going to see 1 onto Moltres first. And now I think it's time for some gouging. It is 200 onto the Roaring Moon, but it is a knockout. And it does make this game slightly closer. That tool obviously meaning there is slightly more health, so it's going to be a slightly more difficult task. Only needing 2 energy though, we've already seen the Superior. So this is going to be end of game 1 as Gholdengo is quite easily going to take this one. Or I think there was a Superior, there's an energy in hand for sure. Okay, so we do see the Superior. And it is going to be a huge knockout into the into the Roaring Moon, sorry. And that is going to clean up the match. Only needing the 1 prize there. So a few ways they could have done it. And that is round 1 to Gholdengo. Roaring Moon here choosing to go second. I think, like I say, very similar to Miraidon, wants to do the same. Wants to just take that early knockout and really race. And it is going to be an extra card here. I did mention this in the deck previews. Obviously, very few basic Pokemon. It can mean it's slightly more difficult to set up. So there's going to be some extra cards for the player on the Roaring Moon side, meaning they can get set up a little easier. But I think it is... Oh, so it's going to be 2. 2 extra cards could be huge here. There's a few things they need. And, okay, so we are set up here. And let's get into this one. We're going to see a... Dealing out some prizes here. Roaring Moon side, we are going to see a Squawk, which actually isn't a terrible start. It's very easy to retreat. It's got pretty good attack for this deck, actually. Obviously, we don't really want to be using that. We want to take a knockout this first turn. Obviously, we've got its ability, though, which is always good. It's just going to be a cross switcher there. Manaphy and a Gholdengo going straight to the bin. We're going to see an attach to Gimme Ghoul and a pass. Now, this is an opportunity. We do see the Moltres go down straight away. Is there a way Bidoof as well? We need some Roaring Moons here. Let's see this deck work. We're going to see an Ultra Ball away. I'm guessing an Energy and a Bibarel. Slightly painful there. Maybe they've already got another Bibarel in hand. And we are going to see Roaring Moon hit the field. This could potentially be game here if we can get this into the active. It really does depend. It's not terrible attacking with Squawk, but it's also not ideal. That switch could be what we need here. Obviously, we can attach to Roaring Moon for turn instead. We are going to see the Town Store come into play. Ideally going for Forest Sealstone here. If not, we're going to see a tool maybe onto Roaring Moon or just grabbing nothing. So the Forest Sealstone is in deck, which is huge. And we're going to see it grab a Sader out straight away. Slightly better play than last time, I think. And it does potentially put us on track for a knockout this turn, which is good. We are going to see... Oh, we've got a tool in hand anyway, so that's going to go down to Roaring Moon. And we're going to see a Sader is only onto one Roaring Moon, which is slightly painful. We do see some more cards. And obviously drawing to the second one off that. We're going to see an Earthen Vessel here. Search out some more energy. So it is going to be the attach for turn as well. Just missing the Dark Patch here. Obviously switch in hand as well. This could be game very, very quickly. I'd maybe like to see the Greninja come out here. We are going to see an Ultra Ball and just draw some more cards. So it is going to be Greninja coming down. And it is just attached to Squawk. So I think we've missed. Yeah, that is unfortunate. So we are just going to see a Squawk here. There is, if we get a double Dark Patch, we could still see an attack here. Or any Dark Patch, we could have seen an attach to the bench instead. We're going to see Greninja here to dig some more cards. So close, yet so far. I don't think we're going to see a Dark Patch here. If we do, then we could have potentially seen an attack, but it is just going to be Motivate from Squawkabilly and 20 damage onto Gimme Ghoul. Still, the Gholdengo player here needs a ton of stuff. We are going to see an Ultra Ball. I don't know if they want to grab another Pokemon or a Gholdengo here. I think you probably... this is a really tough spot. They've missed all their VIP because obviously first turn has passed. They've got no other Pokemon set up. It doesn't... So it is going to be Gholdengo. Obviously you do get the 2 extra cards. You can take a knockout here, but it's so risky. I think if there's no other way to get Pokemon, that could be game. And this is what I mean. If Gholdengo can't set up or doesn't set up well enough and you speed off to the races, then you can very much take this game very quickly. There's 2 cards. Do we see a Pokemon hit the table? So it's down to this Pokestop. Show us a Nest Ball. That's an energy. Vessel's not terrible. I think with that, the problem here is if you get like a Gimme Ghoul or a Greninja, they're going to knock out your Gimme Ghoul and you are in the same spot next turn. It buys you a turn, but potentially not really enough, not long enough. It buys you nowhere near long enough to do this. So we are going to thin some cards out of the deck and hopefully hit something next turn. But unfortunately, I think that's... Unless there's another card to search your Pokemon, that is going to be this second round. And it's going to be an awfully quick one. This side of Roaring Moon. So you can see how devastating it can be. It is going to be a knockout on the Squawk, but it is just going to mean the Roaring Moon comes into the active and gouges Gholdengo for game 2. Setting up for game 3 here. We've got a good start for Roaring Moon once again. There are definitely basics this time on the side of Gholdengo. So we are going to see a slightly fairer setup. Obviously in this one, Squawkabilly start again. That's pretty good. Obviously in this one, it's always going to be Gimmighoul going first. The Roaring Moon player wants to go second. Gimmighoul wants to go first. So there's no way it's going to be any other way really. So we are going to see a Pokestop early on. VIP pass coming down. And we also see the Fog Crystal in hand, so we could potentially see a full bench of Gimmighouls here. Although I don't know if I saw any others in deck there. We are going to see a Fog Crystal, so we're about to find out. We're just going to grab an energy. So it is just the 2 Gimmighouls. Obviously, the Roaring Moon player won't know that. And once they're set up, they are going to be monsters to take down. Yeah, just slightly out of reach. I think it's 220, 230 with a second attack. So 260 is just out of reach. There's no way to really get there either. Maybe with Brute Bonnet and something like a Defiance Band, we are going to see an Ultra Ball away on an energy. And I think another Bibarel, which could be risky. Obviously not having searched the deck. And it is going to be a Roaring Moon going down. And just a shuffle. So there's no more searching. There's no more Nest Balls. There's no more VIP. Though this list doesn't run VIP, which is... It's because you don't really need that many Pokemon. You need a Roaring Moon down. Anything other than that is nice. But, okay, so we did see a Boss and 2 energy go to the discard there. Which is going to be painful. Boss is quite important in this matchup. Obviously choosing those knockouts when the Roaring Moon is ready. We are just going to see the 1 attachment from Seda. Again, not having that other Roaring Moon down, so you could argue VIP would help there. Obviously, it's just a dead card later on. They're seeing switch into Morpeko there, obviously having free retreat, and we're going to see Squawk hit 6 new cards. So there is a Nest Ball there. So we can fill this bench, potentially with a Greninja. 3 Nest Ball! Okay. We've seen 3 Nest Balls, so that is going to fill the entire bench. So Greninja as well, hopefully. Unless it's prized. But we do run Heavy Ball, so we could search it out later on. It does look like the Greninja is prized, which is unfortunate. So we are going to see 3 Roaring Moon and a Bidoof. That's like a fairy tale. But this is going to be a pass, and unfortunately missing that turn 1 knockout again. This is why I've mentioned the... Because obviously we could get a Moltres down here and pull some of that energy and switch it over. So I do think it's such a nice play. Even with a baby Moltres, you can put 2 into play and then switch them over if you need to. Or you've got a great single prize attacker. So I do really like the Moltres package in Roaring Moon. And it is something I'll be playing once this set is out. As I do think, as the format changes back and forth, Roaring Moon is going to maybe be a shining star from Paradox Rift. A lot of people talking about Iron Hands or Iron Valiant. But not enough respect shown so far for Roaring Moon. So it is going to be the boss onto the Roaring Moon that's almost set up, which is devastating. It does have the tool on, so there is a lot for the Gholdengo player here to do. And we're just going to see a VIP pulled from that, which is not great on turn 2. It does look like an Ultra Ball in hand, so we could see a Bibarel play here. Potentially should have gone for the Bibarel before that to draw the full 5 cards and then hit the Gholdengo. So it is going to be an attach. And we are just going to see the Ultra Ball come down. Thin that hand out. They've got a research in hand for afterwards. There's plenty going on here. And it is going to be the Bibarel coming down. Obviously drawing almost a full hand here, and then they could potentially research as well. I don't know whether you want to research first, because there's a chance that you don't get your Bibarel, but yeah, you don't really want to draw into a ton of energy or something off this Bibarel, so we will see what happens. Which way they decide to go with this, because they're going to need 6 energy this turn to take the knockout on Roaring Moon. Otherwise, we could see some shenanigans with retreating and collapse stadium. because they can't really attack then. They're not gonna just do their small attack. They need to use that big one, but they can't risk knocking themselves out and then putting up another Pokemon for another prize for their opponent. So, oh my god, is that all superior? And a vessel. That's such a rough hand. That is a nightmare hand for a Gholdengo player. There's only 3 in the discard as well. Obviously, you can't play them and research this turn as well. They're just going to have to hold, I think. So I guess we see a vessel and a superior played here. There's going to be the vessel coming down first, which will grab them 2. And then, like we've mentioned, they can grab 3 from the discard. So that's a 5 energy turn. But because of that tool, we are going to need to see 6. Potentially could have gone for a non-tooled Pokemon here and just taken the 2 prizes. I do understand the reasoning, going for the one that's been set up. Obviously used some resources to get that set up, so they won't be available for the other Pokemon. So this could be quite close here. Really interested to see where this goes. We are going to see a 250 onto the Roaring Moon, meaning it won't be able to attack and do any reasonable damage. And yeah, it is just going to be a 250 onto Roaring Moon here. The only thing that would save the Dark player would be a retreat into a collapsed stadium. Let's see where we go here. We see the Ultra Ball come down straight away. Obviously going to fetch that Bibarel right on the bottom, as it always is. Whenever I seem to use Ultra Ball, the Pokemon's sat on the bottom anyway, so makes it nice and easy. We are going to see Bibarel here to draw some new cards. Did see a Vessel in hand or a couple, and we've seen some Dark Energy, so we will definitely see an attack this turn. Unless we do try and retreat, and I think the retreat makes more sense because you're not attacking for much damage. Like I said, you can't afford to gouge and lose your own Pokemon and then put another up for their turn, because potentially that's going to be a 2, even 4 prize. Somewhere between 2 and 4 prize swing, which is never good. I'm going to see 2 energies searched out via the Vessel there. Just trying to work out where this one's going, and it is going to go onto the bench. We are going to see the Sada attached to the active and to the bench. Maybe would have liked to seen that. It depends what the attack is here. I would have really liked to seen that to the bench Roaring Moon. And maybe, like I say, just wait on that collapsed stadium. Maybe they're just realizing they could... Oh, they're eyeing up the energy. We are going to see a Poké Stop. Lost everything. I think that's the last boss. That's the energy. It's the Moltres gone. So the stadium is going to be discarded. It's going to be 220 damage there. The problem is, I don't know what clears up the last 40 here. Like, you don't really want to use a Roaring Moon because you're leaving a 2-prizer in the active. Squawkabilly is just out of reach. You could potentially use more Peko, but then it can't use its free retreat. I think the only answer here is to use a Roaring Moon, but obviously leave a whole host of trouble. So it's going to be a Fog Crystal here, probably getting a Psychic just for this knockout. 250, yeah, so just 1 energy will do it here. Maybe wanting to use the Psychic so they can save the metal to attach. But it does look like the last Psychic might be prized, so yeah, just some chat back and forth. I think... Yeah, you could switch here potentially, but obviously Roaring Moon takes a 1-hit knockout, so it doesn't really matter what's in the active. It's almost more annoying for them that there's a damaged Pokemon, so they are going to see a second Gholdengo come down. We've seen, like I say, 2 bosses go to the discard. There's only 2 or 3 in deck, so at this point, I think we're in some trouble here on the side of Roaring Moon. If you're a Gholdengo fan, you're probably really enjoying this. Seeing what the deck's able to do. We are going to see just some energy search here. There's a ton of energy in the discard, and I do see some superiors in hand. Got a Bibarel first for a couple of cards. And we're going to see a Gholdengo for 2. Potentially the bench one for an extra card. And again, that deck is looking awfully thin. I do worry about these decks going up against like control stuff where you kind of want to draw cards to get that energy to knock stuff out, but looking how thin these decks go, it's a much faster format, which is very strange because I thought we were moving to like a slower one with evolution Pokemon. So yeah, a little disappointed to see us moving more into this speed format with stuff like Miraidon, Roaring Moon, Gholdengo drawing through its deck. It's just, yeah, it's not where I thought the game was going, but I am very excited for Paradox Rift. Just the amount of decks that I think are viable now. So many options, so many techs, so many ways to build the same deck. The same Pokemon into different decks, I should say. It's just a very exciting time for the Pokemon game. And a very exciting time for Gholdengo players. We're going to see a tool attach and an energy go down. We're going to see the Jirachi hit the bench, I think, just to thin the hand. The Bibarel here. And it did work. That last card from Jirachi hitting the bench was the Seda, so that is going to be probably both Roaring Moons set up this turn. Some extra cards drawn. It does look like a Dark Patch in hand. So yeah, we are cooking here. Roaring Moon potentially now. Obviously they can't boss this turn, which is why I think this deck does need Counter Catcher, which most decks do. But like I said, this is a very basic deck. It's a very early idea. It's one that we're going to develop, and we just wanted to get some early gameplay out for you guys. So if you've enjoyed this, let me know in the comments below. Let me know who you think is going to win. It's getting very close now. This is the final game. Game 3. Could go either way. It's equal on prizes, but this Gholdengo, I think, has more than enough energy in hand to take a knockout here. They do have the regular energy retrieval as well, which is going to be played here to grab a couple of energy. So that's 2. I think that's 6, which is enough. Just taking a look here. 1. So we do also see another retrieval and I think a worker in hand, so that should be more than enough. Yeah, that's 6 energy. And it is just going to be played out. Make it rain. And yeah, that's very difficult for the Roaring Moon player here. They can put their Roaring Moon up. It's just if that other Gholdengo is still in deck, if it's prized, if it's in the discard. I think we've only seen 2 go there so far, so the third would be the active. Oh, it's in hand. The last one is in hand. So unless we see like an Iono here or something, then I don't see any way out of this for the Roaring Moon player. Double Dark Patch to set up a final Roaring Moon, which is always good. Just showing how quick this deck can be to set up. We are going to see a Town Store come down and an Ultra Ball just to thin the hand. And we are going to see... So there are, I think, 2 Ionos in there. Taking a good look at what they could draw, how many cards they want to draw. And I think we're going to see a Bibarel hunting for that Iono here. Thinking about it. Okay, so it is. Here we go. We'd need Iono, we'd need a knockout, and we need Gholdengo to whiff on their Ultra Balls or an extra Gholdengo. As it is in hand, it would go to the bottom, but there's not many cards left in the deck. I think Iono is in hand. We did see some counting that. It is. The Iono has been played. That Gholdengo is going to the bottom of the deck. And there is hope now. This could be this is a really close finish. See, obviously I filmed these games, but I filmed a ton now. And it's really hard for me to remember how they finish. So I'm as excited. I'm trying to remember back. Roaring Moon. This is pushed it as close as possible. It's going to be an easy knockout here. But in return, Gholdengo won't need many energy at all if they can get set up. I think we have to see them go into Gimme Ghoul here and hope. So we see a Vessel in hand. We see a Bidoof in hand. I guess you just want to play down your hand and Bibarel here. We've also got Greninja to draw more. So the energy comes down. Obviously needing that attachment, which I completely forgot. We're going to see a Vessel getting rid of the Bidoof. Grabbing the single energy. Actually not terrible there. So 2 cards go to 1. And we are going to see... I'm just trying to watch this shuffle, see where the Gholdengo ends up. It's currently not on the bottom, so it could be at the top. I'm going to see a Bibarel. Slow Bibarel. Drawing it out. Oh, there's an Ultra Ball. There's an Ultra Ball. I thought they'd whiffed it. That is going to seal the game. Obviously, the Ultra Ball here. Searching out the Gholdengo. Only needing the 1 energy from Make It Rain. Because of all the damage that the Roaring Moon slams on itself. That's 200 damage. Though it does have the tool attached. So it's currently at 290. So it needs 2 energy. But any kind of retrieval will do the job here. So we are going to see this game, obviously just needing those last 2 prizes, go over to Gholdengo. Just having a look through the deck here. But it is going to be... There's a few ways to do it. You could potentially Super Rod energy back in. But the Super Rod has gone to the discard. Gholdengo here. Is going to have to draw here. Is it over? Let's find out. We're going to see a Gold Rush ability here. For 2 cards. Oh, and there's a Worker as well. That could be it. Worker and Gold Rush here. Gonna come in clutch. So there's still another energy needed. So we're gonna see Gholdengo draw 2. And there it is. The retrieval is in hand. And that is game. Retrieval discarding a VIP and mana fee to grab a ton of energy. Grab as much as you want. There we go. 4 energy. An extra in hand. Hitting for a massive 250 with Make It Rain. Gholdengo taking this series and a win over Roaring Moon. But that is the first match in this Paradox Rift series. If you want to see the rest, make sure you are subscribed. That's all I've got for this video, though. Thank you so much if you've made it to this point. I will catch you in the next one.